Understanding how to compress sales cycles when running paid ads is one of the top skills that you can have. And so in this video, I'm going to break down exactly what a sales cycle is, why sales cycles vary in length, and how we control sales cycles inside of the agency for our clients to make sure that people are closing faster. So what is a sales cycle? A sales cycle is essentially how long does it take from the second they show intent on the funnel to the day that they close. Let's say I'm running a VSL call funnel, for example. If I book a call on day one, how long will it take me until I collect cash from that individual? Is it 4 weeks? Is it 1 week? Is it 3 weeks? Is it 8 weeks? Is it 12 weeks? What is it? Now, the importance of sales cycles is they dictate my ability to scale. So if I have a 12-week sales cycle, one, as a marketer, it makes it very hard for me to test because I do not know what's working until I see ROI on the other end. Two, it allows me to spend at a slower rate. For example, if I ramp spend in month one and I have a 12-week sales cycle, I'm not going to see the impacts till month three. And understanding this allows you to scale. If we really want to drag it out, let's look at how people build custom homes. A custom home is going to take you 12 months, 18 months, sometimes 2-3 years. That individual that runs the custom home building operation needs to understand how to manage cash along the way. They can't put $1 in and get $1 out. That's just not how it works. So their ability to manage and understand sales cycles allows them to scale. This is a big problem I see with a lot of organic-led businesses that jump into paid ads, is they expect their sales cycles to be the same. When in reality, you have no idea what the sales cycle is of your organic customers because they could watch 30 YouTube videos and then convert. They could watch one YouTube video and then convert. You really do not know what the sales cycle is, and it's very, very hard to track what that looks like. Whereas when I run paid ads, it's essentially I run an ad, they click an ad, that's the first action. Now I can control how long it takes for them to close on average. And once I know that, I can also put a hard stop on prospects. Because if we're going into that 5-6 week, I can say, look, on average, it takes our clients 3 weeks to close, blah, 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 and you kind of roll into it, right? But you have a lot more control of the scaling process by understanding this. So now that we understand what a sales cycle is, it's important to know why sales cycles vary in length. Because what you'll notice is some people will have very short sales cycles, meaning they close in a day or two, let's say e-commerce product. Some sales cycles could take 4, 8, 12 weeks. Again, home building, wholesaling real estate, some of these higher ticket information products. So let's say we're getting up into the 35K, 50K, 100K per product range, right? These typically will have longer sales cycles. Now, why? Usually, this is due to a lack of information. In fact, 99% of the time, this is due to a lack of information. So what do I mean when I say lack of information? Well, I want you to think about the last time you bought something over $5,000 to $10,000. How much thought did you put into it? What did you need to know? What questions did you have? When you didn't buy, why did you not buy? I can almost promise you the reason you did not buy is because you had to think about it, because you did not have the information that you needed. You had a price objection because you did not believe and you did not have the information to back the price of the product. You needed to talk to your spouse. You did not have all the decision makers, meaning you lacked the information when making the decision. All a sales cycle is making sure that this individual has all of their questions answered, simply put. Now, there are tactics you can use when framing and objection handling and all the fun stuff in between, but I really, really, really want you to understand the base level concept of the fact that sales cycles only vary in length because of a lack of information. If you have all the answers, you will make a decision, whether it's no close or close. Anything in between, you are not answering the individual's question. And so what our job is as a marketer, but also on the sales side as well, is to give the prospect as much information as they need. This is asking. So if you're a setter, or let's say you're a closer that does the setting, or you have a role specifically for this, asking the prospects, hey, what questions do you have before the call? Let me see if I can send you anything that will help answer those questions, or some more information, or here's a resource, right? You want your reps to be providing information based on what they are saying. And this is some of the best stuff you can do to compress a sales cycle, is actually provide value. If you are using bullshit reminders, like confirmation, your call's in an hour, confirmation, your call's in 15 minutes, make sure you show up, don't miss it or you won't reschedule, all that doesn't do shit. I have no incentive to show up. So one, that's going to drag, if I have to reschedule or cancel and reschedule, it's going to drag out the front end of the sales cycle. On the back end, let's say I didn't close, I still need to be answering those questions. Because if you have the call and you're like, you know what, let's say you're selling something for like 50 grand, you know what, let me talk to the offer owner, let me get a more in-depth response and send you over a couple of resources in the meantime. By doing that, it's going to compress that sales cycle and actually get me to close. If you have a sales call and nothing happens after the fact, you're leaving a ton of fucking money on the table. It blows my mind that people don't do this. But again, the key here is to compress. It's to answer questions beforehand to compress. Now, we do this as an agency in a couple of ways. We do email, confirmation page, content. Shout out Jeremy Haynes. These 3 things are what allows me, and actually let's add this one in here. These 4 things are what allows me to compress sales cycles within the business by sending value-dense emails. Again, shout out Jeremy Haynes. By implementing good confirmation page practices, using content to frame them prior to the call and after the call, and using proper setting flows to close more deals. These 4 things allow you to compress sales cycles. For example, if I have a concern about the trustworthiness of an individual, I can now present them hundreds of testimonials. But here's the catch to compress it even more. Not only will I share testimonials in the emails and the content and the confirmation page, but I will have the setter figure out the type of individual it is and send a testimonial similar to that. If the SDR is on the phone with a mom of 3, I'm going to dig into my Rolodex of testimonials and I'm going to feed them a testimonial from a mom of 3. It's going to compress sales cycles. Content, I'm going to frame each individual contextually based on where they are at. When you're just launching, just frame them. When you're scaling, contextualize it a little bit more. Use it like email automation, right? If this, then that. Frame them with this type of content. And then next is the confirmation page. The confirmation page is where you are going to drive a lot of urgency. And this allows you to pre-frame everything because it's the first thing they see after they book. As soon as they book a call, they get presented with a confirmation page. In the pre-call video, it is your job to set expectations and to drive as much urgency as humanly possible. If you can do that, you will see 5, 10, 15, sometimes even 20% lifts in your show rate and a significant decrease in your sales cycles. Because the one through line throughout all of these pieces of content is not only are you answering questions, not only are you framing them to buy, but you are creating extreme amounts of urgency within the prospect. Meaning, this individual is going to feel like if they do not show up to the call, they are missing out on winning the lottery. It's one of the dumbest decisions they can ever make. Take it even further. It's like they're missing their parents' funeral. They're going to be there. Make it fucking happen. You're not going to miss someone's funeral. Again, taking it to an extreme, that is the amount of urgency you want to drive in your prospects. And we do this through email, confirmation page, content, and SDR. Now, you might be asking yourself, well, where the fuck does all this information come from? Very good question. All of this comes from sales calls, right? So if you're ever wondering, well, shit, man, how do I know what type of information to feed people? Sales calls. By using your sales call transcripts, you are able to see what is the most common question that's being asked. Why are people not buying? What is delaying this process? Not only that, but if you look at your text transcriptions or your setter calls, not just closing calls, you can also see what drove setters to set this prospect. What drove setters to book a follow-up after the initial closing call? What got them to close after all of those follow-ups? And what I want you to do is compile a massive fucking list of every single question, objection, expectation that you see people curious about or that you need to frame the individual with. Take that, sort it by frequency, and funnel that back into these assets, your email, your confirmation page, your content, your setting processes. By feeding all of this back into those things, I can now compress the living fuck out of my sales cycles and I can dictate. Now here's the other interesting part. Your sales cycles are broken up into 2 parts. You have front end and you have back end. And let's even chunk this out more. So let's say here I have the call, excuse my fucking writing, but I have the call here. Let's say here I have the app. Here's the close. Here's the follow-up. By understanding where the longest or the most extended period of time is, I can now prioritize a certain part of the sales cycle. For example, this is going to be your click-through rate. This is going to be the content that you feed them. This is going to be some of the marketing material you feed them on the front end. Maybe they go to a low ticket to send a high ticket. Maybe they need to watch a couple of YouTube videos. Whatever it is, you can dictate the front end. Where I'm more so talking about in this video is from application to call, from the first call to the follow-up, from the follow-up to the close. From application to call, I can feed them content. I can retarget them with other advertising strategies. I can get them to, maybe they were a partial submit and they've got a book. I can redirect them back to booking a call. Again, compressing the sales cycle. From call to follow-up. Let's say they didn't just go straight to close. Let's say I needed to follow up. What do I need to feed them to get them to follow up inside 48 hours, right? Again, call to close. What do I need to feed them to decrease this time period, right? Again, the goal of all of this is just to decrease time. And then the last part, right? Follow up to close. What do I need to feed them before, after, during the follow-up call to get them to close? Is it emails? Is it the confirmation page? Is it content? Is it setter best practices? All of these things play into a role. Now, if you're doing these three correctly, if you are doing the confirmation page, the content ad strategies, the email, and the SDRs, you should be sitting somewhere between 50 to 60% show rates. If you add SDRs, you can get up to 70 to sometimes even 80% on a good day. Show rate, first half of the sales cycle, right? Just like we talked about here. Application call. How many people show up to the call after filling out the application? If I can cut this in half, boom, my sales cycle may have just gone from 4 weeks to 3. Right? I might close them on that follow-up a lot faster. This may turn into the money because I got them to show up. I framed them properly. I'm condensing the sales cycle. Let's say I run a challenge funnel. Again, completely out of the blue, but a little different approach. If I run a challenge funnel, I can now remove the call altogether and I can just go register to close, right? And so my job as a marketer is to understand sales cycles. If I can condense sales cycles, I will close more deals. Simple. I will also know how long is it going to take me to spend more money. If I put $1 in, I'm negative dollars here, and I get $1 out here, I now know how long I have to wait for my testing cycles. If I don't get $1 out till here, realistically, it's hard for me to make a decision this soon in the process. And let's say this is 7 days. Let's say this is 14. I really do not know or cannot make a firm decision until we've hit this 14-day mark if that's my sales cycle. If this is my sales cycle, my cash conversion cycle, I have to wait 14 days. I can't, I can't confidently scale. Now, you'll get some people that'll close here. And that's awesome. We love that. You'll get some people that close right away. But you need to know, on average, what does this look like? Because this now dictates how much of this money I funnel back into ad spend, right? And so if I master this cycle of how long does it take for me to put $1 in and get $1 back, and then funnel that $1 back in, this is where the machine gets built. Hopefully that helps you guys understand sales cycles a little bit more. It's one of those topics that just isn't talked about enough in the industry, or for those running organic content, you just aren't aware of it half the time. If you want more content like this, if you're looking to learn more about launching organic into paid ads, subscribe to the channel, like, comment, check the description below. There'll be some resources down there you can check out. Hopefully this helps, and I will see you in the next one.